Welcome everybody to the main stage at Event Tech Live USA Canada 21 and to our next session, In-Seat Ordering Makes Sense for Social Distancing and for the Future. I'm delighted to say that joining us now is Emmy Gengler, Chief Executive Officer at Softshare Inc. Emmy, thanks very much for joining Event Tech Live.
Well, thank you very much, James. We're really excited to be here. All right, for our session today, we're going to be talking about in-seat ordering. We're going to be talking about the opportunity that's available now within food and beverage. We're going to be talking about the fact that it's not just for your normal events that you would normally associate in-seat ordering and delivery with. And we're going to be talking and touching on the future for what we see for food and beverage. So first of all, let's introduce ourselves. Once again, my name is Emmy Gengler. I'm a 35 plus year technologist. Currently, I'm the CEO of a company called Softjourn. We are a technology services provider. We focus in working with the ticketing platforms and with the third parties that hook into ticketing platforms, such as the digital ordering platform that we're going to be talking about as part of our presentation today. And I'm going to let my co-presenter, Gajen, also introduce himself.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Gijan Indrakumaran. I'm the VP of Marketing for Tacit. Tacit is a leading provider of digital ordering for the hospitality industry. As for myself, I've been in the digital technology marketing space for about 20 years now, from Air Miles to all the way to Airmark. I'm sure some of you have heard of Airmark, who run a lot of North American stadiums. And I'm happy to be here.
Great, thank you very much, Gajen. All right, so let's get into it, the opportunity, and why are we talking about this? All right, first we have to back up and talk about a little bit what we knew already pre-COVID as related to food and beverage. Pre-COVID, we already knew that 58% of the people were telling us, and based on surveys, that they would spend more on food and beverage if they didn't have to wait in line. We also knew when they were telling us that fans globally, that if they could stay in their seats for ordering, delivery, getting food, it would really be a great way to improve the food and beverage service and experience. We already knew, of course, they were open to mobile ordering and using mobile for food and beverage. Of course, everybody is. And of course, we knew that this was a way that they were telling us that they would be interested in getting and using reward or loyalty reward points as a way as engaging with the event and with the teams, for example. So what do we have now? Now we have, depending on your location, some events are opening up. Some events are opening up at 25, 50%, different levels of capacity depending on the region. We know that some are already selling 100% capacity, but we also know that they have to be prepared for maybe dropping down to 50% capacity, depending on the situation and what happens. We also know that there's a limit for movement around, for example, within a venue, again, as part of safety precautions. And what does this all mean? That means that there's limited time and the ability to plan food and beverage. We also know that for the fans and for getting patrons back into live events, that they're very concerned about safety. And safety can be the precautions that the event and the venue is taking, for example, how they're cleaning, sanitizing, etc. But we also know that they're interested in precautions being taken as part of the food and beverage. Well, food and beverage is part of every event, but they're interested already in things such as contactless ordering, or they would be open to using kiosks, for example, for ordering. So what's the opportunity that we have now? We still want to look at maximizing the food and beverage spend, but we want to make it easy, and we want to we have the opportunity to change the experience. And we believe that the changing of this experience starts already from the very first point of contact that a fan or patron has with an event. And that's often when they purchase a ticket itself, giving them the ability to already start to purchase via their same platform where they're already purchasing their ticket, so making it a seamless experience. And we can maximize the spend if we start to give them the ability to order right away. And this makes it a safe experience for them, a convenient experience, and it changes that whole process, that whole holistic patron experience where they can do everything seamlessly in one location. Okay, there's different people that are involved with the ticketing platform. Or the ticketing platform can get different value from offering this. So they can have capture more clients, let's say, for venues and event organizers which are interested in offering the ability to purchase food and beverage. They can gain additional revenue stream by upselling food and beverage, as well as, for example, for the venue or for the event organizers themselves. There is the ability to, it's a safer experience, let's say, for the patrons as well as for the staff, if there's more ways for contactless ordering and contactless delivery, or for contactless pickup points. It also gives them the ability for personalization to reach out to patrons in the future for a particular event. It also, of course, provides that VIP experience that we know fans want now. For the food and beverage providers, it eases the supply planning process. If we know a certain percentage of patrons are going to be ordering food and beverage up front, they can do better planning. It aids in the safety for the personnel for, again, the contactless delivery or pickup points. And it aids, of course, in better forecasting for food and beverage sales for events overall. And then, of course, for the patrons, there's the ability for contactless ordering and tracking, a seamless experience all within the ticketing platform where they've already made their purchase and where they already have an engagement. Again, also that VIP experience that they're looking for. So who's involved in making this happen? Ticketing platform, a digital ordering service that we're going to be diving into, and of course the food and beverage providers. So now let's dive a little bit more into the digital ordering platforms.
Perfect. Thank you, Emmy. In terms of the solution, the in-seat ordering solution that we described, there's obviously many players, and one of them is Tacit from the ordering solution side of things. As for Tacit, we are the leading provider of integrated digital ordering solution for the hospitality, sports, and entertainment industry. We have the most comprehensive and dynamic ordering solution in the marketplace. And our values, we hang them on three core values from our platform perspective. It's a robust platform you can trust. It's trusted by the biggest brands and global organizations that want to handle a few orders to millions of orders at a certain time. So it has to be robust and it has to stand up to the most pressured test. The second component for us that we ensure that we deliver value on is our ability to integrate with existing ecosystem of technology within your operation. We want to make sure that when we put in our online ordering solution, our in-seat ordering solution, that it works with your existing point of sale, it works with your payment providers, and it works with your delivery networks, whether that be DoorDash or Uber Eats. We want to make sure that it's seamless and it's integrated. And as for the third option is the deep expertise that we bring to the table. We're not a pandemic started startup that just starting to do online ordering. We've been in the game for 8 years. We work with organizations such as Compass, Airmark, who run a lot of the sports stadiums in North America. We work with large higher educations that have their own stadiums and college sports. And we run a lot of multinational restaurants. We power their online ordering. So we've seen the most complex operations from buffets to on-demand ordering. So that's what we bring to the table. Next slide. From a contactless ordering perspective, what I want to focus today on is three components that we can introduce contactless ordering at live events. One is through mobile, where we're able to do mobile ordering, and whether that be a white label solution where you brand it to your stadium or your sports team or your ticketing app, or if you have an existing app, the ability to integrate within that existing app and having that food ordering function within your app that you have in place. The middle option, which we'll spend a little bit more time today on, is the in-seat ordering, the ability to use the phone to scan a QR code that activates an online menu that's mobile optimized, that you're able to order, customize, and get it delivered in a contactless way or get it pick up in a contactless way. As for the third option is the self-serve kiosk. At times, someone might not have their phone with them. There might be scenarios where the stadium is at full capacity, and sometimes cell signals are a little bit shoddy when there's a lot of people. So you do want to give that option to people to allow them to order by self-serve kiosk, whether that's order and pay or whether that's scan and self-checkout using the kiosk at various concessions. But where our platform truly shines is the ability to customize and tailor according to the needs of your operation. So one platform, but multiple applications. So the branding capability, allowing you to have multiple brands within the stadiums, a coffee shop, a Subway shop, a pizza shop, and have different brands available and different menus. From a menu management perspective, ability to customize your menus, ability to have different menus. Maybe you just want to have a tailored menu for instant ordering that only consists of items that travel well. And of course, then there's a marketing component to our platform. In a sense, if you market it, if you build it, they will not come. You still have to market it. So we ensure that we put in-app marketing capabilities such as messaging, announcements, and etc. And as I mentioned, integration plays a key role. And the last piece is messaging, ensuring that our platform gives operators the ability to send messages and receive messages. So this way you're in constant communication with your patron. So ensuring if you need to tell them a message, hey, your beer is going to be 5 minutes late, you can do so. Next slide,
Great,
please.
Gajen. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. All right, so now we're going to be diving into an actual sample scenario and talking about how it actually works. We're going to be taking the scenario from, we want to give the patron the ability when they purchase the ticket to actually add a meal up front. So how is that going to work? What type of setup needs to occur? First of all, there needs to be a setup within the tacit service, within the digital ordering service by the food and beverage provider.
Exactly. In terms of our start implementation process, we make sure that you're not on your own when it comes to implementation. So as a technology provider, we do provide the technology. At the same time, we want to make sure that the menu is set up correctly. The kitchen printers are working. So our process involves information gathering, concession account setup, menu configuration, all the way to integration and go live. And when it comes to specifically that ticket platform integration, we'll work with you to ensure our app is integrated within your ticket platform. And as for the customization of the actual platform is a key consideration. You want to make sure that whatever ordering platform you choose to embed within your ticketing app or at the stadium, that it has the ability to tailor by station, that you might want to have certain stations such as East Station and the West Station open. And you might want to have it open at a certain time or a certain day for a concert, or have the ability to only open at a certain hours, or just completely make it inactive depending on if a stadium's only allowed to be open half capacity. And in terms of sections, you want to be ability to have certain lower bowl section have certain services such as pickup and delivery, and maybe certain sections will not have those services, and the ability to even turn off alcohol availability or not. So you want to be able to offer food and beverages service by section, activate stations on game days or show times, and toggle on off based on service availability. So you want to have those customization. And now I'll take you through what a typical input or a back office management would be in terms of adding an item. So you're not dealing with an Excel sheet that you upload. We do provide an intuitive experience where we will train it, we will set you up, but at the end of the day, we want you to use it and customize it and have the ability and power to adapt as you need to. So in this case, we're adding an item. You're able to add the name of the item, the description, you can add an image, and of course you can add an effective date if this item is only available on a certain day, or you only want to start this item to show up on Saturday. Maximum quantity in terms of how many items you want this to be available in terms of inventory. And of course, preparation time, which is the data field that will be used by your delivery network to understand when the driver should be there or how much prep time do you need. Then once you get there, you want to add the price. And when you get to the price, you're adding the price. You might add some loyalty points information if you are able to collect loyalty. And of course, these days, people are very cautious about what they're putting into their bodies. So nutritional labels are very important in terms of having the ability to indicate if it's vegan or vegetarian or gluten-free, and adding caloric information. Then you would want to get into the add modifiers section. And this is where you'll be able to now really personalize. And this is where some of the online ordering kind of dropped the ball in a sense. You want to mimic the online experience to what you have in person. In a sense, if you're able to add that extra cheese or all those different toppings, you want to provide those modifiers as well. So here you're able to add those modifiers such as cheese, for example, label as cheese, give the caloric information, add that beautiful picture of cheese, and publish that. But once you publish it, the beauty of our platform is that now that change is going to go to your point of sale. It's integrated with your point of sale. So all your POS gets updated. That change is going to go into your delivery networks. So all your Uber Eats menu, your DoorDash menu gets updated. That change is going to go into your web application as well. So your online website site menus will be updated as well. So that's the beauty of our system, and even kiosk as well, is that with one application, you're able to update or change or control menus across multiple channels. Next slide, yes.
Great, thank you, Gujen. All right, so now we're going to be talking about, so that was the whole setup that the food and beverage provider is doing within the digital ordering service. Now there needs to be setup and integration, of course, with the ticketing platform. And the initial setup process actually starts then when the event is actually created within the ticketing platform. So now they're going to choose that they want to be able to start to sell food and beverage up front as well as during the event. And they need to add which food and beverage providers are going to be available. Now, based on what was set up in the digital ordering service, we will know which types of food and beverage providers are available for that particular event or for that particular venue. And the event organizer can choose to add more of them as well at any time. As well, then a menu will be pulled from the digital ordering service, because mainly this food and beverage providers determines that this is their usual menu, but maybe for this particular event, capacity is going to be lower, less selection is going to be available, so they can choose which items can be sold for this particular event, as well as they can modify the pricing, again, based on what needs to happen. If additional work needs to be happening, maybe the price needs to go up. Okay, now we have set up then the menu, the ability then for the patrons to be able to purchase food and beverage when they're making the ticketing purchase. We'll take you a little bit through the patron journey. So they've already selected their tickets. Now we add the option that they can add meal to their order. So it's simple to add this link in here that they can actually add a meal the same as you could upsell t-shirts or any other types of merchandise. That's the simple part about it. Gujen touched on it earlier that there's communication that's involved. We've already been doing, during this pandemic time, a lot more communication about how the safety precautions that we're adding for our venues or for events. And there's going to have to be additional communication given to the patrons also about the fact that they can purchase food and beverage up front, what that means for them, what are the options for getting the food, pickup or delivery, etc. So in order to help maximize as well the F&B spend, there needs to be additional communication. So once they do choose to add a meal to their order, they'll see what selections are available. Now, once you start to get to know more and you've collected more data about the patron, you can personalize, of course, this menu. Maybe they're vegan or vegetarian, or maybe they have and you want to give an option for this was your last purchase at a similar type event. All of those things can be customized. Now they've selected their meal, they're going to see it as normal during their checkout process. They're also going to be able to choose the delivery time. When do they want to receive the food, if this venue and event is offering in-seat delivery, or if there's going to be only a special pickup area. The F&B provider, the food and beverage provider, via the digital ordering service, the Megan system in this case, will be able to see the orders that have been purchased. Now, if the order is purchased up front, as in our sample scenario here, all food and beverage orders then would be automatically accepted by the food and beverage provider. However, of course, we have to allow for some orders are going to be happening while the event is going on. Those orders should all be stopped basically at the digital ordering platform, and the food and beverage provider should review them and choose whether or not to accept, maybe they have to decline, or maybe they have to make a change to the order, but depending on the situation on that day. So let's look at this in a little bit different way, what types of integrations are going on, who's doing what. So we've talked about the tacit service. The tacit service, the digital ordering platform, maintains all of the integrations to the most common POS services that are used by a number of restaurants and concessionaires. It might be Lightspeed, and there's many, many other ones. They maintain those connections. The ticketing platform doesn't have to maintain that. The ticketing platform will integrate with the digital ordering service so that when a consumer or patron chooses to add a meal to their ticketing checkout process, the menu will be obtained from the digital ordering platform and displayed to the patron. Patron will make their selection. That information will be sent back to Tacit where the calculation is made. That total then of the amount of the food and beverage purchase will be displayed to the consumer, and they will choose and process payment as usual via the ticketing platform. Once the order has been processed, paid for, the completed order information is sent to the digital ordering platform and then pushed back to the restaurant or the food and beverage provider via their POS system or whatever type of integration they have with the digital ordering platform. So now once we've done all of those points, the order has been made. Now the venue or the event organizer has had to do some work in order to make sure that they can get the food to the person if they've done upfront ordering or pre-ordering, as well as they have to do some preparation for orders that are going to come in during that day. So let's talk a little bit about the operational readiness at the venue or at the event.
Thanks, Sammy. In terms of the operational readiness, what the operators need to think about, three things to focus on. And it starts with what is the experience that you want to provide to your patrons? So what does that food experience look like? And there's three models to consider, and quickly is using your concessions, so local concession, working with the concessions, or you could have a virtual kitchen outside of the stadium and bring food in. Or the third option is teaming up with local restaurants and connecting them through Uber Eats or DoorDash or any delivery network and bringing the food to the stadium. So think about what that experience looked like. Do you want to leverage your concessions? Do you want to team up with a virtual kitchen or local restaurant? And what does that menu look like? What are the menus that you want to provide? And is your kitchen ready? So start there. Then from there, move on to the resource planning. Who do you need in terms of staff? Who's going to be using the platform? Are they trained on that platform? And who's going to be trained on that platform? Do they know how to do refunds? Do they know how to send a message to the user if there's a delay? So those type of resource planning, trying to understand who the players are within your team. And secondly, is about the drop off, the delivery, training your staff. What is the path to take? What's the best way to ensure that the food stays at the temperature it should be? The cold food cold, hot food hot. And how is that handoff happening? What does that handoff look like? And how are we going to make that contactless? Is it going to be in seat, or is it going to be at a certain area where you drop off food and people come pick it up? Or is it an express lane at the cashier center? So those are the things that you want to consider. From a marketing and promotion perspective, like I said before, you got to do the legwork in terms of letting people know in-seat ordering exists, that it is available through the ticketing platform right at the beginning of the journey. It is available at your seat level if you forgot the app. It is also about showing how to complete the entire experience, which means also picking up your food or getting your food. So it's showing signs to where to pick up your food, floor decals to ceiling hangers. So considering these things will help you really elevate your game when it comes to in-seat ordering.
Great, thank you. So now we've done our ordering, our venue event organizers are all prepared. Now we need to talk about delivery, getting the food or pickup. And of course we have to allow, again, we're trying to maximize food and beverage spend. We have to allow for the fact that people who've ordered before want to reorder, or those people who did not order or pre-order food, of course, want to make orders while they're at the venue. Engagement with the patron, if they have made a pre-order, for example, can start immediately after they've entered the venue. So of course the ticketing platform knows via their access control system exactly when the patron has come in. They know exactly what they've ordered. So they can immediately send a notification to that patron, welcoming them to the event, and as well as reminding them about the order that they made and the scheduled time for delivery. They can also allow for a request to change delivery time. It may or not be accepted, but of course, you should allow for that possibility. The food and beverage provider can also be pushing notifications to the patron. They can go into the digital ordering service. They can be sending more simple messages or standard messages such as your food's out for delivery or enjoy it. But they can also send out more critical items such as, okay, I'm sorry, something has happened, we need to change your order, or your order is going to be a little bit delayed. They can change those right within the Megan system, and those notifications can be pushed to the ticketing platform and then pushed out to the patron. So I think now we're going to be talking about, again, Gajen is going to be talking about the different types of delivery points or pickup zones that a venue can have.
Right. So I did mention it a couple slides back, but in terms of those three options to get food delivered, is that you want to have the in-seat delivery option, so the ability to just have food delivered at your seat level, and that's done through capturing the seat number, blocking off a certain section, so you know where the food's going. The second part is about pickup zones or drop zones. So having maybe certain areas, drop zone sections within the stadium or event, and having clear identification where these areas are, ensuring customer knows where these areas are, and dropping the food off there. And customers come in, you have a staff there to kind of validate the order and hand off the order in a contactless way. And if you don't have the option, some stadiums, they were built in an era where they didn't consider online ordering. So obviously, some of the physical structure doesn't allow for pickup zone, or maybe in-seat ordering is not cannot be completely implemented. So you might want to look into express pickup lanes, where you use your existing concession stand, but you create a separate express pickup lane. So therefore, people that order through their phones, they can go into that lane. They're not stuck behind the line. They can get their item and they can go. And it's a great way to also kind of market, because once people are waiting in line and seeing others come in quickly and getting and grabbing and going back to their seat, it creates a sense of, oh, maybe I should do that, right? So it is a great marketing play as well. As for the next slide, we want to speak about, I spoke about in-seat ordering and this whole conversations about how to start at the beginning of the journey in terms of including ordering and food and beverages while they're purchasing a ticket. But there are times when one might not have the app with them, or they want to reorder. How does that take place? So reordering, if it was ordered on the ticketing app and the user does, or the patron does have the ticketing app, they open it back up, go to that food ordering section and start that process again. Order that beer, order that popcorn, whatever they want, browse the menu, and it goes to the kitchen and it gets delivered. Now, there are scenarios where one might not have the app. One might bring a friend that does not have the app and they want to order some food, or completely are not aware that the ordering functionality exists in the ticketing app, but you still want to give that ordering capability. So that's where QR code in-seat ordering comes into play, where placing QR codes within or a very easy to read URL around the stadiums or around the section where you want to have in-seat ordering, and activating a digital menu that will allow you to, one, browse the menu, customize your order, and that order gets sent to the kitchen, and it's also updated on the POS if it is connected, and it gets delivered to the individual. One thing to consider is a point there is that there is that notion of giving loyalty points, and you want to also consider that when the order is coming in, and if the loyalty system is connected, you do want to also address that and give those points as they're ordering.
Great. All right. So now we've done our setup initially. Patrons have purchased, operations, everything was delivered. We can make our additional orders. Now it's the end of the event, and now what do we have? We need to take a look at and review now the different players within who are providing this different service, from the ticketing platform, the food and beverage provider, event organizer, have now captured a lot more data about the patron than they had before. They've been able to capture information about how does ticket purchase size compare to food and beverage size. How does it compare the time that somebody comes into the venue as to when they wanted something delivered to their seat? What types of orders did they make during an event versus what they ordered up front? All of this information can be used to later personalize the reach out to those patrons, to again help personalize and make it more of that VIP journey for future events, as well as keep that engagement going with those different people who are coming to your events. Of course, the ticketing platform is also going to have to modify some of their settlement reporting and invoicing, but similar to what they're already doing today for merchandising or any type of product that they're upselling. They're going to have to be modifying for the food and beverage to show the different commissions for whatever, based on whatever agreements have been made with the venue and event organizers and the food and beverage providers. So now we'd like to lastly touch on a little bit the future, what else we see on the horizon. So what we believe is that this is not just something that is happening now and going to happen just due to COVID. We know that patrons wanted before more options for food and beverage. They wanted that really cool experience. But what we were seeing also before, and what we definitely believe is going to be happening more of, is that theaters, for example, arts and cultural venues wanted to offer more of a local experience in order to get more people in the doors. And what we were seeing before happening was some theaters were able to organize with restaurants that were near them to offer food and beverage, maybe for a specific party before an event, maybe for having it delivered for intermission, or maybe for something special after. And we definitely see that coming more. Everybody wants and deserves a VIP experience, and COVID may have accelerated that, but that is definitely going to continue. And it's been not just the ability to have this contactless ordering, the in-seat ordering delivery was maybe a nice to have before, but now it's becoming a must-have. So we've already talked about, most people consider this in-seat ordering or contactless ordering as something that was related to only only sporting events. It's seen much more for stadiums. But as I talked about, it's not just for stadiums. It can be for any type of event or venue and gives that unique type of experience. Drone delivery. We put this one in here. This is something that was talked about even pre-COVID based on surveys that we knew fans were interested in having they were open to having drone delivery. Now it remains to be seen what's actually going to happen and how it would actually be done so that, yes, it's a fun experience for those people getting food and beverage, maybe not so fun for the other people around them. And the augmented reality, this is something that we see crossing over from what we have today with a in-restaurant digital ordering experience. Everybody is coming up with unique food items, unique combinations, and they want people to purchase them, but people aren't quite sure. In restaurant, we already see with digital ordering that people are offering augmented reality to give people a different look at the food that they would actually be purchasing. And this is something we definitely see crossing over from the restaurant experience into the in-venue and in-event experience.
Yeah, and I agree with all what you said, Emmy. I think the future looks bright. And the future, we expect technology to play a much larger role in reimagining live event experience, from ticket purchase to meals to safety controls, and in-venue entertainment will be highly personalized, powered by data and enabled by technology, while all being interconnected. The important thing that I want to leave you with is to remember we have an opportunity now in the midst of us reopening and restarting life again to rethink, reset, and reimagine venue stadium experience. So thank you for your time today. Appreciate it.
Great. Thank you, everyone. We'd love to keep in touch, and we're certainly open to your questions.
Hey guys, thank you very much indeed for that. Emmy Gajan, thank you very much indeed for a fascinating insight into that particular subject, which I think in some respects, from a technology point of view, there's been so much noise made about how events are going to take place overall, what platforms to use, how to live stream, all of that whole virtual hybrid world, that individual elements that make up events like the food and beverage offering have maybe got overlooked in this whole, I suppose, in all of the white noise that we've experienced in the last 12 months. Has it been difficult from your point of view to really sort of maintain the level of volume that you need with this particular message, with it being such a critical element of events as they took place when they took place physically?
Sorry. Can you actually repeat the last part of your question so I can make sure I understand that correctly?
Sure.
I
Just
lost you a
in
little bit on
terms
the sound.
from an F&B point of view, that being such a critical part of events,
Yes.
has it been difficult to maintain the sort of the volume of message that you need to have to advocate that this needs to be addressed within the industry?
I wouldn't say in terms of I think the understanding is there within the industry is such that food and beverage is such a integral part of the experience that when you go in there, you're looking for that hot dog, you're looking for those elements that elevate the experience. So I wouldn't say that operators have kind of diminished that role in the digital transformation of events. I think it still plays a role, and especially as restaurants are kind of pushing the way with digital transformation. And I think stadiums and venues are taking note. So it's not that it's totally lost, that they're still understanding it, but it's a little bit more of a complex operation. So I wouldn't say the conversation and the volume of conversation around digitizing food and beverage experience is still there. I would say more than ever, in a sense that people are more curious to understand how do we still continue with food and beverages within food and within entertainment or a sports stadium environment, and how do we make it more safe is the questions.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
would say that it probably has taken a backseat to a lot of the initial issues around how are we going to sanitize everything? How are we going to get people in? How are we going to have them safely move around? But it has been a big part, maybe not so much from we need to worry right now about maximizing food and beverage, but we know that it's a part of the events. We know that it's a part of getting people back in. So we have to somehow address it. So this contactless ordering started to be a big part of that conversation with the food and beverage providers, even early on.
I loved a term that I heard in one of our sessions earlier on this week. The final session on day one of Event Tech Live was with Kevin Williams from KWP. He was actually looking at immersive experiences, but he used this term frictionless as opposed to contactless.
Yes.
And I think frictionless is a great way to describe what you guys have been talking about here today, because now, really, whilst we don't want to take away that personal experience that comes from being in a restaurant or a bar and that level of service that you get, the reality is now people can do things from beginning to end with their mobile phone. They can scan a QR code, they can bring up the menu, they can complete their order, they can use Apple Pay or whatever payment system is in their mobile device to complete that transaction. So it's a different way of thinking, but I wondered what you thought about the term frictionless as opposed to contactless to encompass the whole element.
I love the term frictionless, and I think you're absolutely right. This plays exactly into what we're talking about, and it comes in very much from that very beginning. Again, people don't have to download another app in order to get their food and beverage. They don't have to think about it. They can already be pushed information that, hey, I can order immediately when I get my tickets. I don't have to wait. I can have everything kind of prepared and planned, and I can talk with the other people in my party and know what they want and help get that whole thing set. So all of that to me is like that frictionless part where I don't have to do anything extra. It's all being pushed to me right away. Here, oh, you want to do this. You want to make these orders. And I think that's a great term.
Absolutely. I would double down on that in a sense that you don't want a ticketing app, you don't want a food app, and you don't want a team app as well. So the more you can kind of remove these frictions, and that's kind of our bread and butter as an organization where we integrate with best of breed, that we want to remove those friction in those food operation. We don't want you to go to the payment provider to pull that data, and we don't want you to go to the POS to provide that data. Those frictions have to be removed so it's frictionless for sure.
Something else that I've noticed in this particular industry, very, very recently, as bars and restaurants over here in the UK have opened up again just in the last month or so, and we've been able to go in there in limited numbers, is QR codes. They've been around for years now, and I've kind of felt personally that they've never quite found their place. And yet suddenly,
Yes.
in the last 6 months, QR codes have become so important. Emmy, you mentioned there, people don't want to be downloading an app for every single restaurant or bar or sports stadium or music venue that they go into. And I've seen more people use QR codes in the last month than I have in the last 5 years.
Definitely. They have definitely been such a huge uptick, not only with the in-venue, with the in-store, et cetera, everywhere. So yeah, it's a great way, again, to make that whole frictionless process where people don't have to download an app. But yeah, I want the food that somebody else over there ordered. And yes, I can just scan a QR code and get it, and I don't have to think about it.
And
If we can,
I'm like you over there in a sense that I didn't believe in QR code as well for a long time. Like, I'm not sure about that. But like you said, the uptick happened. And I think a lot has to do with the fact that Apple turned on the camera to enable QR code, so you don't have to download a separate app to scan a QR code. So that kind of sped up process. But yeah, definitely much more easier to scan and get a menu than type in a URL. Okay, what's that name again? What's that address again? So it is definitely removed the friction for sure.
it's a great point there about Apple integrating that with just within the camera app, because, but I mean, from my perspective, and I don't know if how other people's experiences were, I actually didn't know that they'd done that. I knew when QR codes first came out that I had to download an app, and you could go in the App Store and there were, any number that you could choose from. And that's sort of why I kind of gave up on them. And it was by accident that I realized that I can now just use the native camera app built in. And perhaps a bigger noise needs to be made about some of that. Maybe they're missing a trick. The mobile phone providers and the actual software providers that provide the mobile devices are missing a trick there by not capitalizing on this sort of sudden upsurge. Maybe that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, that probably is. It would be interesting. I don't know. I had several QR code scanning apps already downloaded, so I didn't notice it too much either until just so shortly. But yeah, I definitely, again, that whole frictionless, that definitely plays in.
Let me come very quickly to a couple of quick questions just to wrap up the session, guys, if that's okay, that have come in on Glisser.
No problem.
Are venues finding more or less upsell opportunities with in-seat ordering?
There's more upsell opportunity. The reason is that there's multiple reasons for that. One of them happens to be that you're in full control. You're not, there's no one behind you saying, hurry up, hurry up. You're in full control of the menu experience. So therefore, and from an upsell perspective, our platform allows you to pair items together, also recommend items based on transactions. So all of that combined, the fact that one, the user has control and can take the time to kind of order what they want. So there's more opportunities for discoveries, as well as the system's able to trigger those actions and those recommendations just on time. So there is a lot more room for upsell for sure.
And finally, if I could come to you, Emmy, with the last question that we've got here on Glisser. How have you seen venues' check averages change in the virtual hybrid environment?
I think there's not necessarily a good statistics yet because, again, we're still kind of in this process of opening up. There's not that many events that are opening up yet 100%, although we will see bigger changes in bigger population areas such as California opening up more next week, et cetera. So we will start to get more statistics. But ideally, we're looking at, and we're trying to go for, 30 to 40% upswing in the food and beverage purchase by giving so many more options to people to order. But again, the actual statistics, we need to wait just a little bit yet.
Absolutely. And just a final point, I suppose, on that upsell question. Again, just from my own experience recently and watching other people as well, when you're scrolling through on your phone and you might be ordering something, I don't know, you're ordering a burger and they say, we'd like to have bacon on that. Boom, it's a button. You just click it. You don't even think about it. It's like an instant decision. $1.50, yeah, bang,
right.
I'm going to do it. So, I think those upsell
in person,
opportunities.
you might. Right.
Yeah, you may be thinking
in person,
about it
you might think about it more. Yeah. That's right.
Absolutely.
Instant
guys,
processing.
We've come to the end of time on this session today, but it's been fantastic talking to you. And thank you so much for the conversation that the two of you had with our audience at Event Tech Live here today. Emmy and Gajan, thank you very much for joining Event Tech Live. We hope to see you both again soon.
Great. Cheers. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.